Welcome one, welcome all. This is Caleb Jones, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast. And today I'm going to talk about one of my all-time favorite topics. Matter of fact, this topic is, in a way, the backbone of my entire life. And I would like it to be the backbone of your life, because when you make this topic the backbone of your life, every other aspect of your life changes for the better. And that is the Alpha 2.0 business model. So, you may or may not know that Alpha Male 2.0 is a lifestyle design system for men. And there are specifically two segments to this. One is business and one is dating and relationships. And both of these are done in a way that are very different than the way you have been taught by society and by your parents and by the media and by your college and or your schooling. And so I talk a lot about both these topics. It looks like lately I've been talking more about women topics, but that's a mistake on my part. I talk about business topics too, and I have a lot of business courses, business books, and a bunch of other things. And I actually consider business as a more important topic than women. They are both critical topics. And if you've read my primary book, The Unchained Man, at alphamalebook.com, if you haven't gotten that book, I highly recommend it. It's only $7. It's over 440 pages. It's the Bible of this lifestyle. It took me 2.5 years to write. It's the best book I've ever written. And as I talk about in that book, as a man, you need both a baseline amount of money and sex in order to be happy long term. Alpha Male 2.0 is about long-term masculine happiness, not being happy for 6 months or a month or 2 or 3 years and then having big problems, but being long-term happy for a long, long, long time, 25 years plus. And so in order to do that, you need both money and sex. And there are men who understand how sex is important, but shortchange the money part of their lives. And there are lots of men, lots of beta males in the business world who understand why money is important and they make money, but they shortchange the woman's side of their lives, either by never getting laid or by only having sex with hookers or by being a beta and marrying a dominant woman who runs their lives. All mistakes. So you need both. So in terms of the Alpha 2.0 business model, and I already have a podcast that overviews the Black Dragon dating model, which is the Alpha 2.0 dating model. But in terms of the Alpha Male 2.0 business model, this is an overview of the model that I teach. And this is something that is similar to some things you may have heard, but also different than anything you've heard in terms of its entire format. And that is that you own 2 to 4 small businesses, that you own 100% of yourself, that do not require any employees, salaried W-2 employees. You can have a staff. You can have contractors, subcontractors, vendors, things like that. I have a staff of about 17, 18 people, but none of them are employees. So no employees. That is 100% location independent, meaning that the money comes in regardless of where you are physically located in the world. So you can move to wherever you want. You can vacation to wherever you want. You could go to any country you want, stay there for 6, 7, 8 months, and there's no dip in income while you're gone because your income is not tied to your location. As I've said many times, if you have to be rooted in a specific city or even a specific country in order to make money to pay your bills, you are not free. Even if you love your city, you are not free. You are operating under the lifestyle model of a plant, not of a man. So you need to be location independent because you cannot be free if you're not location independent. So these 2 to 4 small businesses that you have are all location independent. And the final requirement is that the total income from these 2 to 4 businesses, when you add it all up at the end of the year, is at least $75,000 a year. That's in US dollars, so feel free to convert to your own currency, pre-tax every year. And the reason for that number is, I've mentioned this before, they've done numerous happiness studies. For years and years, they do happiness studies on the specific amount of money that makes people the most happy. And every study they've run, they come up with a number that is either 75,000 or very close to 75,000. Sometimes it's 72,000, sometimes it's 76,000, sometimes 81,000. But if you make less than $75,000 a year, the odds are overwhelming. You are not as happy as you could be. When you make more money, if you make less than $75,000 a year, you are happier. The person who says money can't buy you happiness is empirically, objectively, scientifically, and demonstrably incorrect. That is false. Now, if you already make $75,000 a year or more, then you could argue that more money may or may not make you happy. That really depends on you and your personality. I certainly want a lot more than $75,000. I make many multiples of $75,000 a year. So I need more than that. And you might be too, and that's fine. Or you might just want 75,000 or 80,000 or 95,000 or 100,000 for your annual income. And as long as it's location dependent, you might be fine with that. Perfectly fine. The next requirement is that once these businesses are up and running, not necessarily while you're getting them started, but once they're up and running and they're spinning, that plate is spinning and spinning off money every month for you, these companies in total do not require more than 35 hours a week to maintain. As I've also said many times, if you make a high income, but you have to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, you have to put in those hours, then you are not free. Even if you make $1 million a year, and I know men in this category, personally know guys in this category who make strong 6-figure incomes, sometimes 7-figure incomes, but they're location dependent in most cases, and they have to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week. And if they don't put in those hours, they won't make the money. Those men are not free. I don't care how cool your car is. If you got to work 70 hours a week, 60 hours a week for the rest of your damn life to maintain the income to pay those goddamn car payments, you are not free. So you need to get to the point where you can maintain your income, your $75,000 a year plus location independent income on less than 30 hours per week. That is the results of the Alpha 2.0 business model. That's how this model works. And once you configure this model, you're good to go. You're good to go for the rest of your life. You can set this thing on autopilot and relax. You don't necessarily need to retire or can retire. Depends on your business. That's a big topic for another time. Matter of fact, I have another podcast talking about business models where I talk about Model A, Model B, and Model C. You can listen to that podcast if you like after this one. But if you have to work, 30 hours a week, 25 hours a week, 20 hours a week to maintain your income, are you going to be stressed out? No, you're going to be very, very happy. I could right now, if I wanted to, I could cut back on my work hours, and I could work approximately 15 hours per week and maintain my income. And I make a lot of money. That income wouldn't grow. There would be people who would be upset if I did that, but it would work. I could cut back my work hours where I could work all day Monday, put in like a 10, 12-hour day on Monday, work half the day Tuesday, or maybe half the day on a Thursday, and take the rest of the week off and do that for the rest of my life, and my income would continue. It would. It's pretty nice. Now, I choose to work longer hours than that because I'm excited. I like to work. Working is enjoyable for me, and I have big goals. So I choose to work hours longer than that, but I don't have to. Alpha Male 2.0 is about freedom, and freedom is about options. If you have to work 60 hours a week for the rest of your life, you're not fucking free. If you don't need to work 60 hours, if you only need to work 20 hours, but you choose to work 60 because you love what you're doing and you're excited about your direction in life, that's wonderful because that describes me. I don't work 60 hours a week, but you get my point. I work hard because I choose to. I don't have to because I am an example of the Alpha 2.0 business model. I have 3 companies. All 3 of them are location independent. All 3 of them they don't require me to work more than 30 hours a week total. They make a lot more than $75,000. Matter of fact, I have approximately 15 or 16 now, streams of income spread across these 3 businesses that pay me money every month. Some of these are big income streams. Some of these are little baby income streams. But that's how much money I'm making from these businesses. Now, I've been doing this for quite a while. So I've been at this for 14 years now. I've been living this lifestyle. So that explains my success there. But this is what is possible. For those of you who don't know, my 3 companies at the moment this is rapidly changing as I am recording this podcast because I've made some international transitions in my life and I'm moving on to bigger and better things. But at the moment, and it's certainly historically over the last 14 years, my 3 companies have been, number 1, I'm a business consultant. I do time management consulting and productivity consulting. I also do strategic planning. I don't have a niche for that business. I work with a lot of lumber companies, biotech firms, and various other companies all over the world. So that's my first business, location independent. I have been a location independent consultant for, let's see, how long have I been a location independent consultant? I want to say about 6 or 7 years. Before that, I was a location dependent consultant. So I deliver all my services remotely. It's all online. either through Zoom calls or Skype calls, email, remote computing, things like that. There are times where I will fly out to visit my clients at their offices, but I do that at my leisure when I think it's a good idea. So that's my first business. My second business is the one you're probably the most familiar with, my Alpha Male 2.0 company, where I sell online courses, ebooks, coaching services, coaching programs to men, and I teach lifestyle design for men. That is my online company. Again, totally location dependent. I can do that business from anywhere in the world. And then my third company is I have a tech marketing company where I render marketing services to on-site IT consultants. Now I'm radically changing that company. Matter of fact, I'm shifting that company into something very different, something in the healthcare sector, something I don't want to talk about right now, but I made that change a few months ago. But that company is/was 100% location dependent. And interestingly, that company is/was 100% offline. There is no website for that company. It's all done with telemarketers, direct mail, and phone calls. There's no online aspect to this. So when you have your 2 to 4 location independent businesses, yes, they can be online companies. That's perfectly fine. But they can also be offline companies. You don't have to have an online business. Some people don't want to have an online company, but they still want to be location dependent. Yes, you can have 100% offline business, or at least mostly offline business. For example, you could be an offline location independent consultant, and you might have a single web page and a really cool LinkedIn page, and that's pretty much it. You don't really do any online sales. It's all phone calls and email and things like that. You don't actually have to sell online products or services, and you can if you want. That's perfectly fine too. Also, you don't have to copy my example. I personally know guys who make 5 figures a month selling hard products online. Guys who do Amazon FBA and various things like this, Shopify stores, things like that. I know women who make 4 and 5 figures a month selling junk on websites like Etsy. So you can use this selling hard products as well. You can sell products, you can sell information, and you can sell services, all under the Alpha 2.0 model. You don't have to be locked into any one of those things. I don't sell products because that's just not what I'm naturally good at. I'm naturally good at selling information, and I'm naturally good at selling services. That's where I'm strong. So all 3 of those companies sell either services and or information. But if you're not that way, if you're more of a product guy, you could absolutely sell products. That is perfectly fine. Not everyone wants to or can write a bunch of ebooks or be coaches or be consultants. Not everyone wants to do that. And some guys really want to do that and would be really good at that. So it depends on your personality, what you want to do. I'm saying you're not limited to the sector or type of offering that you're selling under the Alpha 2.0 model. Another hallmark of the Alpha 2.0 business model, and I have harped on this forever, is that your businesses are niched. They are highly niched. Instead of selling something to, quote, everyone, you're only selling something to a very narrow niche, a narrow subset of an industry. So my favorite opposite example of this is the guy who says, I'm going to start a fitness website. I'm going to teach people how to lose weight. You're going to get slaughtered. Do you realize the competition for that on the internet? Do you have any idea what you're doing in terms of going into competition against people who've been doing this for years and years and are way better at you? You're going to get slaughtered. So if you start a website, how to get fit, how to get muscles, how to lose weight, you're going to get slaughtered. Now, instead, if you said, for example, and this is close to something real that one of the people I worked with did and made it successful, close, I'm modifying this slightly. If you instead said, look, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to teach Asian men over 50 how to increase their muscle mass, how to get big muscles. And I'm only going to work with Asian men who are over 50. That's it. I'm in a niche. Now you're going to make a lot of money really fast. You're going to be shocked at how fast you're going to make money because you're niched. When you are niched, you are perceived as an expert in your industry much faster. You get much more word of mouth business. You can charge much more money for your prices. You will get much more referral business. You will get much more repeat business. And it is going to be much easier for you to market and target market niches and market segments when you get to the point of you're doing paid advertising and things like this. It is so valuable to niche. And I promise you that I would not be making the money I make today if I wasn't very narrowly niched in just about everything I do. And when I wasn't niched many years ago, boy, did I leave a lot of money on the table. And I'm a guy who started making 6 figures by the time he was 27. But even then, I could have been making 5x, 7x, maybe even 10x my income had I niched from the very beginning. Instead, I discovered the concept of niching, or at least started practicing the concept of niching way into my business career in my 30s, 40s. So unfortunately for me, I made that error, but you don't have to make that error. You can narrowly niche. Now, some questions I get about this. Caleb, how can I possibly have a business when I can't hire any employees? How the fuck does that work? I'm going to need help. You're goddamn right you're going to need help. Now, initially, if you're going to start your business for zero, and that's another beauty of the Alpha 2.0 business model, it doesn't require any money to get started. My Alpha Male 2.0 company cost me, I think, $28 to start that business back in 2009. And today, that business alone is a multi-six-figure income source for me. It cost me $28 to get started. I bought like 2 domain names, and I spent like $5 on a really easy little web hosting, web building website. It was called Weebly. It's probably still around. It was many years ago. So you don't need any money to start an Alpha 2.0 business. If you think I have all this money to start a business, no, you fucking don't, dude. You absolutely don't. My marketing company barely cost me any money. It cost a little bit, but not much. I think it cost me $1,500 all told to start that company. Pretty nice. So you don't need a lot of money to start this business. Now, if you have money, if you have a decent amount of resources, cash in the bank, net worth, and you want to dig some of that up and invest in your business and start a business off the bat, where you're doing a lot of advertising, you're hiring staff right off the bat, you can certainly do that. That's fine. And matter of fact, you'll get to the money faster if you do that. That's good. But most of you listening to this podcast probably don't have a lot of money to spare. I certainly didn't when I was in my early 20s and I started my first business as a self-employed computer consultant. I didn't have shit for money. So if you don't have any money, great. What you do is you start doing the work yourself. And as soon as you start generating income, you need to immediately start outsourcing what you're doing to other people. Where do you find these other people? Well, here's the simple answer. There are 3 levels. Level 1, the cheapest, simplest place to find people to help you in your business is Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. You can hire people for really, really cheap. They can do all kinds of work there. They can help you with the website. They can do logos for you. They can do basic admin work. They can do all kinds of stuff. The next level beyond that, when you need more help or more advanced help or more steady help, is Upwork.com. Upwork.com is the website in the world because it gobbled up all the other websites that was doing this earlier, where you can hire subcontractors and helpers literally from all over the world. And if you've never used it before, I strongly recommend you go to Upwork.com, set up a free account. It's free. And it works like eBay in reverse. So what you do is you say, hey, I have this job. I need someone to do this. Either a one-time job or an ongoing job. You can pay a flat fee or you can pay an hourly rate or an ongoing fee. You can do whatever you want. You say, I need this, 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 this. Here's what I need. Here's the requirements. Ready, set, go. And then people bid on your job. They will show you exactly how much they charge or how much they'll charge you. And they have a star rating. And you can look at other people they've worked with on Upwork to make sure you're hiring someone who has a lot of experience and done a good job. And you can hire people there. The next level beyond that is something that is a little advanced, probably not relevant to you if you're just starting out. And that is if you have to hire people where they're literally working 20, 30 hours a week, every week plus, almost like employees. There are several companies in India that do this, several companies in the Southeast Asia that do this. I have an Indian company that handles mine. By the way, if you're curious, I use all of these. I use Fiverr and Upwork and an actual dedicated firm, an outsourcing firm in India to do all my work for me. And I have a staff of about 17, 18, 19 people, somewhere in there, that do various things. And these are all part-time people. I have no employees, and you don't want employees. When you have employees in your business, you are not free. When you have employees in your business, you do not run your business. The government runs your business, or at best, you and the government together as an unwilling team run your business. And I say this as a professional business consultant with 25 years of experience working with hundreds of companies, hundreds of CEOs, presidents, entrepreneurs. And the number one complaint you'll hear from these guys is, oh my God, I got to fuck with these goddamn employees and all this paperwork and all these taxes and all these requirements from the government and all these HR rules and regulations. It's a fucking nightmare. And these guys spend upwards of 60% of their week, of their working time, screwing around with stupid employee problems or employee regulations or governmental regulations or paperwork or taxes in relation to employees, instead of what they should be doing, which is growing their companies, which is what you should be doing when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner. Your number one job is to grow that business, is to develop more products and services and or information for your niche, to communicate with your niche, to marketing, the number one most important function of your life in your business. Those are the things you need to be doing in your business, not fucking with employees. I don't have any employees in my companies, and hopefully I never will. I say hopefully because unfortunately, when you get to the point when your businesses grow really big, you may have to violate Alpha 2.0 models. So I'm actually butting up against that ceiling right now. So in short order, I'm gonna have to make some interesting decisions about whether or not I violate my own model if I want to go after the big money. But you can make multi 6 figures. You could even make low 7 figures without having any employees. Trust me, you can. You don't need employees. You need help, but you don't need employees. Your businesses or business must also be location independent. So if you have to get into your car or get into a bus or get into a train and physically go visit your client's office or your customer's location, you have to physically go there, that is not a location independent business and it doesn't qualify for Alpha 2.0. Worst case scenario is that you can hire subcontractors on the ground to do the visiting for you. I work with a lot of IT firms, and a lot of IT firms do this. So you could start an IT company where you help people or small companies with their computers, and you can target certain cities. You never have to go to these cities, but you can work with IT nerds on the ground, pay them an hourly rate to go out and actually be your hands and fix problems on site. And then you will manage the customer account, you get paid, and then you pay your subcontractors. You can do that. As a matter of fact, my dad, who was not an Alpha 2.0, but he used this model in the mental health industry. So what he did is he would hire counselors, mental health counselors, in distant cities far away from Portland, Oregon, which is where he lived. And he never had to visit these cities. He would just hire counselors out there, and he would put together companies and counselors. He would charge these companies a flat quarterly fee to manage all the health care for their employees. And if their employees needed to go see a counselor, he would send them to a counselor that was already in that city. He didn't do the counseling himself. So in that respect, he was location independent. Now, unfortunately, most of his business was in Portland, Oregon, so he was not location dependent, but you get my point. What he could have done is have an entirely location independent company and just use remote counselors all over the United States, or even better, all over the world. So one of the big mental shifts that you're going to have to make, and a lot of guys have trouble with this, is to get off this location dependent stuff. How can you deliver your product, your service, or your information to the client or to the customer? So that could be a B2B business selling to other businesses, or a B2C business selling to customers, selling to consumers. How can you sell that thing to the client/customer without you physically needing to be in that city? How do you do that? And if you're not sure, if you're real excited about a certain business idea you've kind of thought about or you've heard about, but it's location dependent, sit down with a blank Word document and just ask yourself at the top of the page, how do I make this company or this business idea location independent? And write out some ideas. And I think you'll be surprised. I think your brain will come up with several cool ideas. I've seen several guys I've worked with several guys who did this. I talked to a guy at one point about 4 years ago, and he was a construction contractor. I think he was a bricklayer, brick buildings and brick other things like that. And he was based in Orlando, Florida, I believe. And he got sick of it. And he's like, oh, I don't want to get rid of my business because it makes money, so I'm just going to turn it location independent. And so today, he lives in Ecuador and he still runs that business in Orlando, Florida. It's 100% location independent now. He doesn't have to fucking be there. He's smart. He's Alpha 2.0. Good for him. So make sure that your 2 to 4 businesses are location independent. Now, another question you may be thinking, 2 to 4 companies, my God, how does that work? I can't run all these businesses. How would I start all these? You start 3 businesses all at the same time? Okay, so I'll answer the first question first. Yes, you can run all 3 companies or all 2 companies or all 4 companies because you're going to use the same business infrastructure for all the companies. You can use the same corporate structure. You can, in many cases, use the same bookkeeping system, bookkeeping software. You can use the same staff. It's perfectly fine. You can actually duplicate your efforts. You don't have to hire a whole new staff to run an entirely separate company. You don't need to. You can, and to be honest, I kind of do, but you don't have to. Although there is a lot of overlap between my companies. I actually need to backtrack on that. Yeah, I do have a lot of overlap in terms of my business infrastructure across my companies. Perfectly fine. You're certainly able to do this. So yes, it's much easier than you think. Again, we're talking about small companies here. We're not talking about you starting General Motors or Amazon. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a small business you can run with your computer. I have a vast business empire, and I can run my entire vast business empire, all doing business all over the world, with my little laptop sitting right here in front of me. That's it. I could even do it on my phone. If I really wanted to, I could throw my laptop in the trash and I could do 100% of this on my phone. I just like the bigger screen and the keyboard. But I technically don't even need a laptop. As long as I have an internet connection, I can make money. Matter of fact, there are times I haven't had internet connections and I still made money. So there you go. So that's the first answer. Second answer is no, you don't start all the companies at once. I have an article at my blogs called How to Manage Multiple Companies. So if you go to calebjones.com and click blog, you can search for how to manage multiple companies and bring up that article. And the summary is that, well, it's a complicated topic. I'll really summarize it. Each company operates under 4 separate phases. And to simplify that, you basically start your first company first. You get it to a certain point of monthly income. Then you put it on maintenance mode, and then you start the second company. And you get that to a certain point. And once that is at a certain point, now you have 2 companies making money. You have a choice. You can go back and optimize your first company, or you can start your third company if you want. Totally up to you. So then it gets kind of fun when you get to that point, because you can kind of manage your companies and decide what you want to do. You don't need more than 4 companies. I think if you try to run more than 4 companies, that's a big mistake. That is something that people do at the upper echelons. If your name is Tony Robbins or Elon Musk, then fine, you can run all these businesses. But if you're the typical dude, Alpha 2.0, 4 companies is plenty. You need at least 2. If you only want 2 companies, that is perfectly fine. In short order, I will probably, by the end of 2021, I will only have 2 companies. I'm going to shut down my consulting business. I'm going to revamp my marketing company to something radically different. I'm already doing these things. So I'll have 2. 2 is fine as long as all of your companies, I didn't mention this earlier, this is important, all 3 of your companies are in completely different niches, in completely different industries that have nothing to do with each other. That way, if something horrible happens to one industry or one business sector and you lose one of your companies, you're pissed, but you're okay. You're fine. You can still pay your bills. Money's still coming in. You can still maintain your lifestyle because your income is diversified. I mean, you have a spare tire in your car, but do you have a spare income? Why don't you have a spare income? I would submit to you that a spare income is much more important than a spare tire. I have 2 spares because I have 3 companies with 14 income streams. So there you go. So that's fine. You can have 2 companies if you want. If all you want is 2, perfectly fine. 3 is great. 4 is great. Don't go past 4 unless you want to be Superman. That's fine. If you want more information on how to set up your Alpha 2.0 business or businesses, you can go to calebjones.com, and I have a book there called Big Income from Little Work. And I also have an online course called the Alpha 2.0 Business Course, where I actually walk you through step by step with videos on how to set up your first or second or third Alpha 2.0 business. When you have these companies set up in your life, location dependent, making good money, boy, are you happy. It changes your whole life. It changes your whole perspective. It creates a dream lifestyle for you. I live a dream life. And the number one reason for that is I have Alpha 2.0 companies. They're great, and they're not that hard to start, and they don't take that long to build. Strongly recommend you do this. Very, very important. It is a backbone of the Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle. I hope this has helped. I will talk to you very, very soon. Have fun. Bye.